Now, the Three Martini Lunch with Greg Corombos and Jim Garrity.
And welcome, everyone, to the Monday edition of the Three Martini Lunch, along with Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. We have good, bad, and crazy martinis for conservatives today, and the good is just watching the Democrats squirm over the actions, past and present, of Hillary Clinton. Of course, one of the big stories last week, Jim, was that the Associated Press took a look at the available Hillary Clinton schedules, and other than her meeting with government officials and foreign dignitaries, realized that most of her private meetings, in fact, a majority of them, were with large Clinton Foundation donors. So on ABC's This Week program, Martha Raddatz, filling in for Stephanopoulos, asked acting Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Donna Brazile, what about this situation where these people who are big donors are getting access to the Secretary of State? Donna Brazile's answer, no big deal.
Look, first of all, Martha, the way I look at it, I've been a government official. So, you know, this notion that somehow or another, someone who's a donor, somebody who's an activist saying, I want access, I want to come into a room and I want to meet people. We often criminalize behavior that is normal, and I don't see what the smoke is.
Well, Jim, if it's normal to you, that doesn't mean that it's actually legal or normal. And so apparently it's just business as usual over there with the Democrats. And oh, by the way, these aren't campaign donors. These are supposedly charitable donors.
Greg, I'm just pleased to see Donna Brazile suddenly sounding like a libertarian. All of a sudden, she's Ayn Rand. This giant regulatory state that makes criminals out of us all just for these routine human interactions. Who will save us from Leviathan trying to meddle in every little human interaction? Yeah, okay, great, Donna. Glad you finally recognized that. It's intriguing that government ethics laws are the one law she wants to repeal and allow people to be free. So there you go. There's kind of an absurdity to it. Literally, it's one of those things where if the person is on your side, man, you're just never going to recognize that beam in that eye. That their eyes look perfectly clear to you, but that moat in the opposition, boy, you got to deal with that one.
Very good. Yeah, exactly right. Nothing that the other side can do right, nothing your person can do wrong. And Jim, in addition to Donna Brazile running cover for Hillary Clinton and other Democrats in her hastily assumed role of DNC chairwoman after the DNC hacked email and the unceremonious departure of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, also dealing with the fact now that there's more humiliation for Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, who's basically in every bit of B-roll footage you ever see of Hillary Clinton, other than when she's giving a speech, if she's getting out of a car, if she's talking to reporters. Huma's always in the corner. She, of course, is married to the estimable Anthony Weiner, former Democratic congressman from New York. He was forced to resign after a sexting scandal. He then ran for mayor and was forced – well, he didn't actually leave the race, but any chance he had of winning ended when he was once again caught sexting. Now, with his wife assuming perhaps one of the top roles in a forthcoming Hillary Clinton administration, if Hillary Clinton wins, he's caught up in another sexting scandal. The New York Post is reporting on it today. And, Jim, as Carlos Danger reemerges here, it's not even just his gross and slimy behavior anymore. In one of these pictures, his kid is in it. He's sitting there lounging in his undies, and his 5-year-old kid is in the picture with this woman he's sexting at like 3 a.m. Just deplorable.
It is a new depth for Anthony Weiner. You thought you were tired of hearing this guy. I don't know if you just saw the message I just sent you, Greg, but we have a little bit of breaking news as we tape the podcast. Huma Abedin and Anthony Weiner are separating.
No.
Which is arguably the least surprising news ever, but nonetheless there was something weird and bizarre and comical about Anthony Weiner, but there was always something very sad about this. And I just wrote in the corner that there are two things about Anthony Weiner. One, obviously, is his just constant compulsion and need to send, sexually explicit messages to young women, including a woman who's under the age of 18, let's not forget. But even more was the fact that, Anthony Weiner just felt the need to stay in public life, which is what separated him from, I think, a lot of other politicians caught in sex scandals. He could have gone off and had a private law practice, or he could have gone off and, done anything, run a hardware store, do whatever, just go away. And for some reason, he felt the need to run for mayor again after the scandal. He let that documentary film crew follow him around and make a whole documentary about them. He keeps doing interviews. And my one time on the Bill Maher show, he was one of the co-panelists, and I did my best to be, polite to him. I'm not going to, chew him out, and just punch him, no matter how much a guy might deserve it. He just struck me as the saddest human being you could possibly imagine, because he knew there would be jokes at his expense on this show. He knew probably some of this was embarrassing to his wife and anybody who was in his family and anybody who had ever been associated with him. And yet he just felt the need to do it. I mean, this is a guy who just needs to be in the spotlight. So, I mean, hopefully there'll be some lessons from this for him. He's, it looks like his marriage has come to an end. And this is tragedy and farce all kind of rolled into one. Probably not the Monday the Clinton campaign was picturing today.
Probably good that you didn't punch him. The less you touch someone like him, probably.
Yeah. I was going to say, that was a very awkward handshake right there.
Where's my hand sanitizer?
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the bad martini. That was Martini 1A and B, in case you lost count. This is not good for anybody. This is from Politico. Hackers based outside the United States have broken into 2 state election databases in recent weeks, according to a report from Yahoo News, which on Monday revealed a flash alert sent earlier this month by the FBI's Cyber Division. The bulletin reported that the FBI had received information about separate IP addresses attempting to hack into 2 different states' Board of Election websites. The document itself does not disclose which states were affected, although Yahoo News' Michael Isikoff cited sources familiar with the document as saying they are Arizona and Illinois. Yahoo reported that the Illinois hacking was more serious, forcing officials to shut down the voter registration system for 10 days in July, while the Arizona intrusion did not appear to be as successful. Let's hope not, since tomorrow is primary day in Arizona, Jim. But all of these worries about voter fraud and now the integrity of voting systems, particularly as we rely more and more on electronic and computer-based systems, not exactly the confidence booster we're looking for just over 2 months from Election Day.
It's one of those things where a lot of conspiracy theories float around, and it's been it seems like each cycle you get more of them. People are determined, no, it wasn't really, the polls are all wrong, and and my guy won, and the other side cheated, and there was a bazillion illegal votes cast. But when you hear stories like this, Greg, all of a sudden the crazy paranoid conspiracy theories may not be such crazy paranoid conspiracy theories, right? I mean, if it happens, you're certainly hoping that anybody who would want to meddle with the voting results would, make it a 100% to 0% outcome for the candidate they want. So that it's been hacked, that it's been ridiculous. If you end up with a election result that's only tweaked by a few points, Greg, how would we know? It's entirely up to cyber intrusions and stuff. I bet you're going to see a lot of people arguing about wanting to go back to paper ballots and things like that, because it just seems like a safer option. We are now seeing cyber threats and cybersecurity entering into aspects of our lives that I don't think anyone ever really contemplated. And you thought 2000 was a contested election?
Huh.
What happens when one state cannot officially verify its election results because of cyber intrusions?
Well, if Vermin Supreme wins the state, we'll know that something's gone completely wrong.
or bootheadism is really in this cycle. I don't know.
Oh, no, we laugh, but that is obviously one of the fundamental underpinnings of our system, and for that to be compromised in any way is very chilling. And let's hope the tech experts are on top of this. But given how the tech experts have performed in our actual government, I'm not sure that we've got full confidence going forward here, but we'll see and keep track of that story. Our Crazy Martini is one that has gotten a tremendous amount of attention over the weekend. It has something to do with politics, but is largely a sports story. And, of course, it reflects on San Francisco 49ers backup, we should say, quarterback Colin Kaepernick. This is the story from CBS Sports. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick has willingly immersed himself into controversy by refusing to stand for the playing of the national anthem in protest of what he deems are wrongdoings against African Americans and minorities in the United States. His latest refusal to stand for the anthem, which he has done at least once other in a preseason game, came before the 49ers' preseason loss to Green Bay at Levi's Stadium on Friday night. Quote, this is Kaepernick to NFL media, "I am not going to stand to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the streets and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder," unquote. The 49ers statement, quote, "The national anthem is and always will be a special part of the pregame ceremony. It is an opportunity to honor our country and reflect on the great liberties we are afforded as citizens. In respecting such American principles as freedom of religion and freedom of expression, we recognize the right of an individual to choose and participate or not in our celebration of the national anthem." The NFL had a particularly pathetic statement. All they said was, quote, players are encouraged but not required to stand during the playing of the national anthem. So, Jim, obviously we can dissect Kaepernick's statement and pick apart where we think he's very much wrong, but it's fascinating here to watch it when it's a liberal cause that the team and the NFL have no interest in even retaliating verbally, much less issuing a punishment. I did a quick Google search because I remember there was a player when Michael Sam got drafted and kissed his boyfriend who sent out a tweet that said, OMG and horrible. And then the next day, Miami Dolphins defensive back Don Jones has been fined an undisclosed amount by the team following an incident on Saturday where he sent out a tweet critical of Michael Sam. Jones has been banned from the team and its activities until he undergoes sensitivity training. So, Jim, Kaepernick has the First Amendment right. The rest of us have a First Amendment right to fire back. Just looking for a little consistency on the part of these organizations here.
I've been noodling over this because the easy thing to say is, well, Colin Kaepernick is a bonehead idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. But the more I think about this, Greg, you know what the conclusion I come to?
What?
That he's a bonehead idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. Because he talked a bit more today. Because first of all, if you're a professional athlete, you already have a soapbox. You already have the public attention. And that's kind of what he did today. And he talked about police brutality. And if he had just done this, I don't think too many people would be giving him too much grief about that. As a NFL quarterback, he wants to stand up for what he believes in. He wants to stand up against what he sees an injustice. And he says, there's people being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable. People are being given paid leave for killing people. That's not right. That's not right by anyone's standards. If he had just done this, nobody would have had much of a problem with him. Instead, he chooses to not stand for the national anthem, which is this is not subtle. This is not nuanced. This is very noticeable. And he's not saying, I'm angry at that cop, or I'm angry at the police force for not disciplining him. I'm not angry about that prosecutor's decision. When you choose to refuse to stand for the national anthem, never mind cover your heart or sing or anything like that, you're basically saying, I'm angry at all of America. Now, Greg, when you or I or anybody else stands for the national anthem, are we saying, hooray, police brutality?
I'm not.
Are we saying America is perfect and there is nothing about it that could be changed or fixed or improved? No. And so he kind of is interpreting everybody else's gesture completely incorrectly. And he feels that, well, if I stand and cover my heart, I'm going along. No, you're not. No one is doing that. Where are you getting this? And then finally, this is, again, it's almost a cliche, but it is worth noting. Actually, two things. One is, so back, you're a Bears fan, Greg. You may recall one of the Bears players accused Kaepernick of using the N-word during a game in a heated exchange in 2014.
That is correct.
But let's assume that he misheard him. Let's put that aside for a second. It's not surprising that Kaepernick is paid very well. NFL quarterbacks are paid very well. I had to look it up. It's a $114 million contract, Greg. So, $12 million signing bonus, $61 million guaranteed, average salary of $19 million a year. I don't want to hear from this guy how bad America is, okay? When you've been given more than $100 million to play a game, to do something that everybody would love to dream of, and then we're not even getting into the endorsement deals, we're not even getting into America's been really good to you, Colin Kaepernick. And so if you want to object to police brutality, if you want to, you have those First Amendment rights, and I can see the sense of I have an obligation to stand up for what I believe. Okay, great, go right ahead. But when you refuse to stand for the national anthem, it's not saying, I'm only not standing for the police brutality part of America. You don't get to make those distinctions. You're not standing for America, and you're indicting all of America. And this is a country, that has been more generous to him than 99.9% of its citizens, and it's more generous than almost any country has ever been to any other person in the history of the world. You talk about the richest 1%. Colin Kaepernick is the most privileged 1%, and for him to run around and start complaining about how bad America is, maybe the single most insufferable news story of the year in a year with a lot of competition, Greg.
It does. I would say two things. First of all, the Bears won that game. Thanks to 3 touchdown catches from current New York Jet Brandon Marshall. And also, we should have known this was coming. Maybe not this particular statement or action on the part of Colin Kaepernick, but it's often said you can kind of judge people based on the company they keep. Well, very early on in the 3 Martini lunch, back in 2010, Colin Kaepernick led Nevada to an upset win over Boise State, and somebody on the Senate floor had a lot of nice things to say about Colin Kaepernick.
The Sunday before the election, I was in Reno, attending church. And in came a man and sat beside me. Looked at him, I thought, "Are you who I think you are?" And he said, "I'm Colin Kaepernick." He's 6'6", and can run very, very fast and throw a long ways. Really a great athlete and a nice young man. I was so happy to see that he had done so well.
Jim, that's the kiss of death right there.
Way to go, Nevada. Way to go. Wow. First of all, excellent research skills there, Greg. I had completely forgotten about that. And what more do you need to know about Colin Kaepernick? I mean, first of all, do the Bears play the Niners this year, Greg? Boy, it'd be easy to root against him now.
Yes.
People have never, every time he gets sacked, man, it's, God bless America.
Yes, we do play the Niners. Sunday, December 4th.
There you go. Heck of a start to the week, Greg.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, circle that one. All right, Jim, good start to the week. Talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Columbus of Radio America. Thanks for being with us today. And please be sure to tune in again on Tuesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.